Hello people and welcome to the latest video of the Vision SCC Global Design Competition. And today, we have the privilege of interviewing one of the most influential automotive designers in the world, Frank Stephenson. Frank has been responsible for the design of numerous stunning cars in the automotive industry. His portfolio includes some of the most iconic hypercars and supercars, such as the McLaren P1, Ferrari FXX, and Maserati MC12. Beyond high-performance vehicles, he has also designed popular everyday cars like the BMW X5, Mini, and Fiat 500. Recently, Frank has expanded his innovation to other industries, including the eVTOL aircrafts, space capsules, and child seats. Nowadays, everything progresses in a very fast way, especially in the field of artificial intelligence. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what are the recommendations for young generation designers and students to adapt to the emergence of artificial intelligence?
It's a very, very good first question, Rocky. Thank you. Rocky, and to the students, I think we all have to be aware that nothing stays the same, especially in the world of design and science. We're discovering new things all the time. We're advancing, especially in this age, we're advancing much more quickly than we ever have before in history. So a lot of new things are coming to us as a way of advancing, of improving our knowledge and our ways of creating things, of which obviously innovation is the key driver for why we advance and how we advance. So artificial intelligence is the big thing currently because it's obviously at least at the moment, a tool. It's an aid for us to, I wouldn't say be more creative, but at least have more answers or more options for a solution, right? And the rapid growth of it, I think, is because it is seen as an innovation, as something that we haven't had before. We're discovering all the time new ways to use it, new applications for artificial intelligence. And that is a good thing, of course. Artificial intelligence is allowing us to try things that we previously had to spend a lot of time to reach the same conclusion or a similar conclusion in terms of responses or answers to anything, writing a book, writing an essay, creating a song, designing a piece of equipment or whatever. It's offering us other possibilities, of course. But I think we have to be very, very careful with artificial intelligence, like any new discovery or opportunity. We have to be careful that we don't let it control the human. The human is the most advanced machine we have. The human brain is the most incredible thing, I think, in existence at the moment, because nothing is at the level of capacity, I think, for what it can produce than the human brain. Not to say that we're the most intelligent that we can be. We can always grow and we can always become better at the things we do. But we have to be careful, like I said, that artificial intelligence doesn't become the overseer or the power that controls design. That has to be the human. The reason why I say that it has to be the human is because the thing that artificial intelligence does not have is it lacks creativity, it lacks emotion, and most definitely, which I'll come on to probably later, it lacks what we call the human touch, which is what we value as a society, the human touch. So I would recommend for young generation designers, because artificial intelligence can make anybody a designer. What I'm saying is that the people who want to become designers, the young students who want to have a profession that is design related, that the most important thing that they have to do and have to really maintain it is curiosity. Um, the reason for that is because a lot of people ask me, how do I become creative? You know, designers need to be ultra or super creative. That is what a designer is. They're a little bit, wiring is a little bit different from the normal person who works with numbers or works on professions that are basically just maintaining the status quo almost. Designers are geared to think of things that don't exist or to create things that perhaps are better than what we have today on the market. And to do that, you need to be creative. Now, how do I become creative? You don't become creative. You are either creative or you're not. But the one essential ingredient to be creative is to be curious. And curious or curiosity is the foundation of many, many very successful artists and designers and scientists and the creative profession in general. Because if you're not curious, you're not asking questions. You're not questioning the products that are on the market today. You're not imagining the future. And curiosity is a very childlike quality. Um, Children grow up asking questions all the time. You see it when a child is young and still learning. It has an immense hunger uh, for learning new things, for being curious, and this is a trait or an element of the human that regretfully, as we get older, it comes down. That level of curiosity, it becomes less and less. We stop asking questions and we stop being feeling like if we ask a question that we will be seen as not intelligent or whatever. It's just a bad thing, I think, in society to be seen as a person who still asks questions as you get older, and that's very
Right.
wrong, because curiosity is what drives the human mind and the human uh, race forward in terms of innovation. So I would say to all the young generation designers to not be afraid to remain curious all your life. It's what keeps the mind young. You know, old people are many old people are seen as, or the older generation is not being curious enough. And that is a very boring part of society when you're not curious, or you're not contributing to society if you're not curious. So I would, again, just stress that the main recommendation, the one big recommendation is for young designers to remain curious. Artificial intelligence doesn't do that. It only creates something that already exists and blends it with something else that probably already exists. It's not
Right.
creative.
Great. So the second question is, why is education for sketching, such as Learn to Sketch with Frank, becoming more important in the age of artificial intelligence emergence?
Another great question, because um, sketching, hand sketching, I mean, I always have, I, I don't go anywhere without a pen. It's like, it's part of me. Uh, the reason I have that is because it allows me to sketch in any moment where I'm at, and I feel the urge or the spontaneity or the inspiration to come up with an idea. I'm able to use it. Um, Sketching and learning to sketch with Frank, the course that we're speaking about, that allows you to learn the principles of how to bring an idea from your brain to the paper. And this is not only useful for you, of course, to express your ideas, but you can also convince another person that this is a valid or a potentially valid idea to create into 3D shape, or to commercialize or produce or manufacture, whatever. But I think the reason why sketching is important now that we're becoming sort of aware, I guess, of artificial intelligence, is the human touch is irreplaceable. It's the computer can try to replicate the human touch, but it will never be exactly the human touch. And the reason why the human touch is very important is because it has an emotional side to it. The computer does not have emotion, right? And when you sketch, you are actually uh, transferring what is in your mind if you're capable of sketching or knowing the principles, because it can be very frustrating for a lot of people before they learn to sketch to produce something that they feel and see in their mind, to produce it on a paper that represents exactly what you're imagining. But that is, it's not a skill, or well, it is a skill. It's not a talent. It's a it's something that you can develop as a skill. For example, you can become better and better and better at sketching, and the better you become, the more pure the thought can be translated to the paper and to use that. And when we draw, we are thinking when we are drawing. We're not drawing a picture and that's the idea. The sketching is a very fundamental way to produce an idea. You're making so many mistakes when you're sketching. Very few designers sketch and say, that's exactly what I want. It's a process of thinking and of development. And you're going from A to Z or Z to the end with a refinement process. You start out, you sketch something, you refine it, you start again, you sketch it and refine it. At the end, it's a story, uh, a development story that allows you to start with an idea that you have and to gradually improve it and improve it along the way. That towards the end, again, you never reach the end. We are not perfect beings. Perfection does not exist. You can never produce the perfect sketch or the perfect design. You will always continue to develop that. If perfection was achievable, we wouldn't even exist as designers today, because in the past, there are so many years before, they could have developed, the perfection uh, as a standard. So never feel like when you sketch that you have done the ultimate design. You never can fall in love with your designs. Um,
Right.
the beauty of artificial intelligence is it can produce something that is perhaps illustratively, in terms of the artwork, much better than you yourself are capable of doing. You may have an initial idea, and then through viscom or through many different tools that we can use in artificial intelligence, it can improve the design to a point where you think, wow, that looks absolutely amazing, and I'm in love with it. Let's make it. But it lacks, again, the emotional feel, and that is something very hard. It's not a You cannot calculate human touch or human feel. You cannot put a value to it. It's a feeling. It's an emotional feeling, and so that is why, for me, sketching is so important. A lot of times when students or potential applicants ask me for a position in the company, in our design company, they will show me their portfolios with very beautiful renderings, um, almost like what the finished product will look like actually in production. That is the last type of portfolio that I want to see. I don't want to see anything in that state of finish, a very polished rendering or a piece of artwork. I would much prefer what we call quick and dirty sketches to the
Right.
thinking, the conceptual thinking process. Nice sketches, of course, talented and in proportion and great perspective or great use of perspective and attention to detail. But that is something you can only achieve with sketching, not with the artificial intelligence. So more portfolios have to be produced than currently, that show the thinking process, not the finished process, because the finished, maybe I like it, maybe I hate it. It's not showing me the depth of talent or of the thinking of the student. So again, I think it's important that the reason why it's important is because the sketching allows you to show your personal, not the computers, your personal way of thinking and of conceptualizing and of putting human emotion into your design.
Fantastic. Now let's head up to the next question. Beside artificial intelligence, which is at the present, electrification in the automotive industry also grows rapidly. How will electrification in the automotive industry transform automotive design compared to internal combustion engine vehicles?
Fantastic question again, Rocky.
Thank you.
We have to be careful that we don't go down a path that relies too much on the faith that electric powered vehicles will be the future. And I have to be careful with this answer because I know it's very political. The governments all around the world are trying to make the automotive market go electric. And the problem with electric is many-fold, not just one problem. There are many problems with electrics.
Right.
First of all, the most obvious problem is that it is not as clean as the people behind the push are trying to convince us that it is. Electric is not a clean solution. It is when the vehicle is produced and it is on the road and it is not putting out harmful emissions, that is clean. But to produce the electric power requires batteries and other things that are not the cleanest solution. In fact, they're pretty dirty solutions. So it's almost like looking at the front face of something and saying, wow, that is beautiful. But if you look behind it, it's not what it looks like on the front side. So first of all, to answer your question of what advantages or what are the possibilities of improvement through electric vehicles, the use of electric vehicles over internal combustion engines, which we call ICE, is one very important element is, or probably the most important element for me, is the packaging, is the internal ergonomics of a vehicle. If you think of an ICE, internal combustion engine, it has different sizes, of course, different mass sizes, larger, smaller, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 cylinders. And that requires a certain amount of space and obviously very heavy, or can be heavier as you go up in size. But it requires a certain amount of area. And that in turn influences the space that you have for the real important part of the vehicle, which is to transport people. Again, 2, 4, 6, however many people are in the vehicle. So the objective currently is to maximize the interior space of a vehicle. Not always, but mostly in cars that we use every day, we appreciate space inside the vehicle. Of course, if it's a 2-seater sports vehicle, you understand that it's going to be tight and smaller and more shaped around you as a driver, rather than offering lots of space. But in everyday life, space is a luxury in a vehicle. So the design team, designers, are trying to maximize the use of the space. Now, when you go with an electric motor, space becomes more available because obviously the motor is much smaller and you can still achieve lots of power, lots of sufficient energy from that unit, from the electric unit. You do then need to place a battery in a location which is beneficial, or at least not detrimental to the handling of the car, as well as to the room and space available within the car. So obviously the battery placement is where you decide to put it. Normally we try to put it like we call a skateboard platform, and the battery is located low for the center of mass and center of gravity, and everything we want to be very low and stable. Um, but again, the advantage of a small motor then means that the whole ergonomics of the vehicle can change if you optimize the design. The problem I see today is that the interior doesn't really change, doesn't really take advantage of the fact that we have a much smaller propulsion unit. And I think as we design electric vehicles, we need to start expanding visually and obviously what's the word? My English sounds good sometimes. Uh, we need to take advantage of the smaller size of a motor by expanding the livable space of a vehicle. So
Right.
we haven't done that with the majority of car designs today. You will say they're electric, and you will look at it, and it will look just like a combustion engine car, simply because they haven't taken advantage of the proportional advantages that we can have. So I think as we move forward the next 5-10 years, people will start to become dissatisfied in the way that we're wasting the advantage of space. So I will see, or hope to see, that the interior proportion becomes larger and the exterior proportions away from the greenhouse or away from the living space become much,
Right.
much smaller. Uh, it will look strange if we do it correctly. It will be a shock a little bit in terms of how much we can change the proportions. But again, it's the advantage that we have that we're not used to seeing that kind of proportion. But it's the advantage that we would have and be thankful for if we do make the interior cabin much larger and the exterior boot and call it a frunk or a trunk in the front or whatever space smaller. So the overall size of the vehicle can remain the same. It's just that the interior size of vehicle can become much larger than it currently is with ICE. And just to touch back on the reason why I'm not a big fan of electric and the fact that it is not as clean as many people think it is, I think there's going to be, towards the end of this decade, a strong push and probably even reaching towards production levels of synthetic fuel, which will
Right.
mean that we will still keep the emotion of the petrol engine, the combustion engine. It's very important for an emotional product. It's like a person, if you take away the voice, the person loses a big element of their personality. You know, the voice is a very important thing, the sound, the aural effect. And so cars, I think, need that. And to artificially reproduce it is a little bit fake for me. But we will start seeing, I think, cars towards the end of the decade using synthetic fuels, which are very clean, as well as the emergence, commercial emergence of hydrogen-powered vehicles. So I think those two will start to come out and eventually probably replace electric powered vehicles.
And actually, I watched a speech at the TEDx Eton, and you said that in the future there might be nuclear-powered cars.
I'm a big proponent of nuclear power. It's obviously if it's, like I said, not contained or not protected or not safe or whatever, then we have a problem. But nuclear is, you know, why not? There are nuclear powered vehicles in the world today, you know, submarines and things. So, you know, the ultimate solution is free energy, which is physically impossible. At least we think it's physically impossible. You cannot produce energy, limitless energy from nothing, pretty much. So we do need to burn or explode or yeah, cause some type of waste of energy to create energy. But nuclear is for me. It would be the optimum solution. It sounds bizarre today, of course, but even things today sounded bizarre 100 years ago. So why not?
Absolutely. So the next question is, as a legendary designer, you have recently engaged in designing lots of other products besides cars, such as the eVTOL aircrafts, space capsules, and child seats. What are the common core essence of an innovative design?
Uh, I mean, that's a very difficult question to answer, uh, in the sense that it has to be your goal as a designer to design something innovative. A lot of designs that we see today in the world are not innovative. Not everybody is seeking to produce a better product than what we had, than what came before it. And I have a problem with that because there's no need for a designer or even anybody in the world to produce a new product uh, again. We only need designers, I think, in the world who are able to think what's next. And so that is what innovative design is. Again, too many products on the market. Why bring another product if it doesn't really bring a better solution to the market? So, right. In my opinion, I think the common core essence of an innovative design, probably three factors. One would be that the product has to bring um, a valuable benefit to the customer than what exists currently. So if I buy this new product, it's innovative and it brings something more than what I had before. If it's a more valuable benefit to the customer, that is the number one, probably core essence. Must bring something new and better to the market. The second one that is very hard to achieve because it's subjective in a certain way, but it must be desirable. The essence of an innovative design, what's important is that it must be desirable to buy this product at the first time you see it. We call it love at first sight. If it's not love at first sight, that is not going to sell the innovative design. Uh, it is very rare. I say this a lot, but for me, it's absolutely true. It's very rare that you will buy something immediately if you don't like the aesthetics of it, the look of it. Many times, if you see something and you see it the first time in the shop window, wherever you go, and you immediately like it, you will buy it. But if you have to wait to get used to the look of it, it's not a successful design. So for innovative design to be successful, you want to be sure that it doesn't come across as strange and crazy and bizarre. Those are negative connotations, negative words. You want it to be, wow, surprise and delight. I need that. I want that. So it has to be desirable. Like when you meet your partner, your future partner for the first time. You don't want to get used to after 6 months. Okay, I'm used to her. Maybe I will like her more or marry her or whatever. You have to have an emotional connection right away. I need this. So that is important. The other thing I think that's a core essence of innovative design is that it must be, it must have the timelessness factor. Not that it will look old after 1 year. So that's also a very difficult factor of design to achieve is how do you make a design look like you won't get tired of it after a year or 2 years or whatever. It must feel like this design, I will like it for the rest of my life. That's important. Right. And so when you combine innovation with timeless design, it's not perfect, but it is achieving perfection. It's coming closer. Because the products that we buy that are trendy, oh, everybody's wearing this now, or it's the new fashion for this year, the new color. That's 1 year it's good, the next year it's old. And that's not a good trait. I mean, it has its market, of course, but that's not something that you have that you value over a long period of time. That you put a lot of pride in the product. You want your things that you buy to still be fantastic and look great after you've gotten used to it. So it still has to feel like this product. There are many iconic products like that in the world: furniture design, architecture, things that they're icons of design because they will always look good. They're timeless, and they still bring innovation as well.
So the last question is that automotive design is a very comprehensive subject. How do you balance the aesthetics and other aspects such as the engineering and commercialization in designing a car?
Um, the answer might surprise you. I don't try to design products or cars or objects to be beautiful. That's not my intent, to design them to be beautiful. You would think, of course he does, because the products he designs look beautiful. But if you try to design something to look beautiful, you're not a designer, you're an artist. It's very easy to design a beautiful product. It's very easy if you understand design. Um, the hard part is to design something that is not just looking beautiful, but that also works incredibly well, right? Nobody buys a product where they think, okay, it's beautiful, but it doesn't work, right? Design has a function. We're not artists, we're designers. We work with products that people can use and that they need. For example, art is something you put on the wall, it's beautiful, you fall in love with it as well. But from the products that I do that need to be engineered and commercialized, the main thing about the product is it has to have a high level of functional capability. And so what a lot of designers forget is the functional importance of a product. So I my strongest desire is always to work with great engineers. So
Right.
if you work with a great engineer and the engineer is able to provide you with a superior function to the product, so something that is, like we said, innovative and is, why haven't companies made a product like this before? It works great. It's perfect. Exactly what I need. If I work with this in mind, with the engineer of how to make the product work great, then all I have to do is clothe it, is put a shape around the well-existing, well-functioning product. Uh, and then it's almost always a hit. I have to obviously apply good proportions and good surface quality or development quality. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a very famous saying or wording in the design industry, which I am very much against. Um, it says function follows form. And I have never believed in that. Form does not follow function. Form and function are equal, right? Uh,
Right.
you don't design a product to work well uh, and then think about the shape. The shape and the form are coming together at the same time. So if the
Right.
function equal and the form are equal, it's a very purposeful looking design. You see the product, you understand what it does. It's not cheating the customer with another look that disguises the function. So um, the best example I can give for this, and this is probably my strongest reason for producing the designs I have, is nature, is the influence of nature in design. And many young people confuse the inspiration for their products, not confused, but maybe they get it wrong, to put it harshly. They get inspired by fashion, they get inspired by architecture, they use furniture design as inspiration, they use many things outside of nature as inspiration for their design. And you can do that, of course. It's not a bad thing to do that. What it only means is that your design will not be timeless. The only timeless inspiration we have as designers is nature. Nature doesn't produce designs to be here 1 year and then next year it's old, right? Nature produces designs that are fit for purpose, survival of the strongest, uh, 100% functional as good as it can be. If it doesn't function properly, it will die,
Right.
and then be replaced by something else. So if you want to design something that is beautiful, nature is beautiful. There's very, very few things that we can say in nature that's ugly. We're wired as human beings to love nature, to appreciate nature, and to have that love at first sight when we're deep into nature and the way nature designs. So if you can relate to nature and you can use nature as inspiration, you will start to see the benefit in your designs. Nature doesn't waste. It doesn't create things that don't need to be on the design. It's not there. Everything in nature has a reason for why it's on the animal or in the flower, in the landscape. Everything. It's for a reason. So we have to, I think, as designers, understand that the best influence you can have, the best inspiration you can have to design anything is what we call biomimicry, the science of biomimicry, which is biomimicry means basically mimicking biology, not copying, but being influenced by the incredible simple solutions that nature has. Nature doesn't make things complicated. It reduces it to the absolute minimum. Nothing is too big or too small in nature for the design. It's what needs to be for that product, for that organism to be successful.
That concludes our fantastic interview with Frank Stephenson. We hope this interview will inspire you and support your journey as an innovative and creative designer. If you are interested in participating in our competition, please register through our email visionscc@outlook.com. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.